The Techida Correctional Institution in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Home to more than 600 female felons, including one-time high school study hall monitor, Diane Borchardt. In 1995, at the age of 45, Borchardt was found guilty of first-degree intentional homicide for persuading 3 teenagers to kill her husband, Reuben. She maintains her innocence and has from day one.
The thought never even entered my mind that Reuben should be permanently eliminated from the picture, no matter what they say. That was not in my train of thought whatsoever. I never contemplated that.
Borchardt blames police, prosecutors, and even her own family for painting a distorted picture of her. She says she never got the chance to tell her side of the story.
The media was never given an opportunity to know me versus what they were told. I should have talked at the trial. I should have talked until they got sick of hearing me.
But others say it was Borchardt's storytelling that got her in trouble in the first place.
I think a lot of people were manipulated into feeling that she was the victim, she was poor Mrs. Borchardt. But I think people have come to understand the truth now.
Jefferson, Wisconsin, April 3rd, 1994. It was just before dawn on Easter Sunday when a desperate call came into the county sheriff's office.
Sheriff's Department 911. Someone just shot my dad. Where did this happen? On Bearcoat Road. There's blood all over. Okay, what is your name? Chuck Borchardt. Okay, Chuck, is he breathing at this time? Yeah, he's yelling that they got us really bad. Okay.
A few minutes later, police arrived at the house. There, 16-year-old Chuck Borchardt led police to his father, Reuben, who had been shot twice in the chest.
I was like freaking out. I didn't know what to do. They pulled me away from my dad and took me into the other room and asked me what was going on.
Chuck told police that around 3:35 a.m., he'd been startled awake by a strange sound.
I heard a loud noise and I woke up and looked around my room. I didn't see nothing, so I kind of drifted back off to sleep.
Moments later, Chuck said he heard another sound, this time much different.
I heard something like a cow mooing, or kind of like cow was hurt or something. And I realized that something wasn't right in the house, that it was someone who was in pain or something was going on.
He got out of bed and headed down the hallway from his bedroom, and the first thing he saw was the phone in the kitchen. The cord was disconnected from the receiver.
After that, I knew something was really wrong. You know, why would the phone be laying on the ground off the hook? So then I yelled downstairs and I go, "Dad, are you down there?"
So he went down a few steps and looked around the corner and saw his dad in the chair, laying crossways in the chair, and he had blood all over him.
I could see blood on his chest and everything, and asked him if he was okay. He's like, "Don't worry about it, just go call 911.
What's that do? Get some towels and try to compress the wounds and try to keep him calm. That's the main thing, so he doesn't go into shock. They are dead. Okay, I think he was in shock already. Okay.
Though badly wounded, Reuben Borchardt was still alert enough to give police a crucial detail. There were 2 attackers, he said, neither of whom he recognized.
355.
The 40-year-old cabinet maker was then rushed off to a local hospital, where family members were told he would be life-flighted to nearby Madison.
They told us that we could see him if we went up to Madison, so we got in the vehicle right away and drove up to Madison, only to get there for them to say that he never made it to Madison. So.
The nurse came in and told us that Dad passed away, and Brooke and Aunt Barb just lost it. They started crying and everything. I really didn't cry, I was just in shock.
The next day, detectives began searching the Borchardt house for clues to the town's first homicide in 2 decades. A videotaped walkthrough revealed no signs of forced entry and no indications that anything had been stolen.
We tried to look at a burglary that went bad or something on that order, but the evidence just didn't show that.
Bloodstains indicated that the shooting took place here, in the basement at the bottom of the stairs. Police found one spent shell casing, but no murder weapon.
There's the shell. Got it? Yeah.
To detectives, the crime looked like the work of amateurs. But who? And why?
We had no idea. And so it left us scratching our heads.
16-year-old Chuck Borkart was the only other person in the house that night. Like his father, he was a hunter and kept shotgun shells in his bedroom that were similar to the ones used in the crime. There was also a .410 shotgun in the family gun cabinet, the same gauge as the murder weapon. Investigators went so far as to test Chuck's story that 2 gunshots fired inside the house had failed to rouse him from bed.
We went into Chuck's bedroom where he was sleeping, and we actually shut the door, and we did a test fire in the basement. You could hear the shot, but it was very muffled. So there was nothing there that would indicate Chuck was involved in the shooting.
Now that's another possibility, because I don't know.
By the end of the day, police had interviewed several of the victims' friends and family members. But the one person they most wanted to speak with was the only person who wasn't talking: Reuben Borkart's estranged wife, Diane. After 14 years of marriage, the Borkarts were in the midst of a bitter divorce. Police had been called out to the house on several occasions, and just the day before the murder, the couple had gotten into their most violent argument yet.
She threw a holy fit and started hitting him and gave him a bloody lip, and he grabbed her arms and held her. As soon as that happened, she went right to the police station and said that my dad was beating her up.
It was decided at that point that maybe she should not go back home for that Saturday.
The 45-year-old appeared to have an airtight alibi. She had spent the night in Tomahawk, Wisconsin, a 3-hour drive north, at the home of Reuben's first wife's parents. But police began to grow suspicious when she failed to show up as promised for an interview that afternoon. Instead, they heard from her lawyer.
When she does not talk with us, it centers our investigation a little more her way, especially when we have no other direction to go.
In time, Diane Borkart's actions would make her the sole focus of police attention, and leave authorities wondering if this mild-mannered mother had orchestrated a conspiracy to kill. On Easter Sunday, 1994, in Jefferson, Wisconsin, 40-year-old Reuben Borkart was gunned down by a pair of unknown assailants. Police were coming to believe that the victim's estranged wife, Diane, might have played some role in the town's first homicide in 20 years. But she wasn't talking, and detectives were determined to cover all their bases.
We followed every lead that